Let's go to another caller, John on KSFO in San Francisco. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, John.
Hi, I'm in Fremont. Thank you, Mr. Savage, for taking my call. Thank you for your show. I just wanted to let you know that I work for a contractor. I used to work for a contractor, and it's one of the largest contractors in the world. We did things. Anyway, they had a program called Echelon. What they did to get around the Constitution and around laws is they based the program out of another country, London, or England, I should say.
Oh, you mean the country of freedom where I'm banned to enter? I can't enter England. I get it.
Yeah.
The land of the Magna Carta, huh?
They routed it back to, I'm going to go ahead and say it, the NSA building, which goes 14 stories below the ground. Analysts listening and recording everything. Now, this is for 6 key words, and they pick out those key words, and they monitor everything that's said.
But listen, this is so naive, it's beyond belief. It just shows you how naive the intelligence community is in this country. I mean, I'm a student of gangster novels, okay? Do you ever think that a terrorist is going to use the word bomb in a message? They use analogies. They're not going to use the word bomb. They're going to say the product is sitting waiting for you in Penn Station, or the melon is waiting for you in the market. Why would they say bomb or the key words? Are they not naive that these idiots are being paid to wait for 6 words that no criminal or gangster would ever use?
Right. Well, they're listening to everything, and they have control of everything. They know what everybody does. We built satellites over there that they can read the date on a dime. I worked in Sunnyvale, so that should tell you the name of the company.
Well, we don't have to name them, but I've always been suspicious of Google and how these 2 unknown people became so powerful so quickly. I've often thought that they're an arm of the government.
I can say it's LMSC. The letters.
Well, so you're saying this has been going on, what, since the Bush years, the Echelon program, or before him even?
Early Bush years, since Senior is when it was started.
Oh, the former director of the CIA, Mr. Bush Sr.
Yes.
Didn't he predate terrorism, though? So what was the justification for the Echelon program?
Oh, just to control the public. And I guess they foresaw what was going on, and they figured, hey, in the future, we're going to need it.
Well, they didn't stop 9/11 with their Echelon program, though, did they?
No, they didn't.
That's because what? They were averse to looking at Muslims? They were only looking for Christians who came back from the war? I mean, well, who were they looking at?
Well, they're looking at everybody, but what happened is they found a hole, and they just went through it, and that's what happened. So...
I hear you, my friend. Well, this is a very serious revelation that you are disclosing. I certainly was aware of the Echelon program because I've heard of it. I had no idea that it had so deeply penetrated every person's home and for so long. So, in other words, because as Solzhenitsyn said, everyone is guilty of something. Remember, I read that in the last hour. Did you hear that? I don't know if you heard that.
So they're called inactive clearances.
No. What I'm saying is this. People are saying, well, if you got nothing to hide, why should you be afraid of this, right? But as Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the great Russian author, wrote, everyone is guilty of something or has something to conceal. All one has to do is look hard enough to find what it is. So the government, if they want to get you, can invent a crime. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, do they reverse engineer and put items into a person's computer now that the person didn't even access to bust them on various charges that they're innocent of?
They don't even have to be hooked up to the net. They can have a unsuspicious vehicle outside of your house, and they can access it through the wiring in your house.
You mean what you're doing, but what I'm saying is, can they put something into your computer that you didn't access?
Something into your computer. That's why I don't use the computer myself.
You're kidding me.
I do not use it.
If anyone goes on a computer, they could put something in that makes them into a terrorist?
They can do that, yes.
Oh, God.
They have the process. And, is basically it doesn't matter to me because the doctors haven't gave me a really good outlook on my future. I'm that bad. Got a number of problems, physical. So
what you're saying is you're saying you're at the end of your years. You feel and you want to disclose this.
I've got problems with my airway. My bones are deteriorating. Doctors are afraid to do surgery. I've had 2 heart attacks.
So, sir, what you're saying is because of the poor state of your health, you are divulging to America tonight on this program that the spying on Americans goes back to George Bush #1.
Yes.
That you worked for a defense contractor who did it.
Yes.
And the program was called Echelon.
Yes.
Wow. That's a revelation that I haven't heard until this moment.
I tried going to Channel 5 to their investigative unit. If you notice, it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, there's no investigative units in the San Francisco
Texas.
Bay Area. The San Francisco Bay Area has no news whatsoever. They're all owned by the political party here that runs the state.
Right.
You know, they're owned by the Democrat machine. There's no independent reportage in the state at all.
Right.
None. All they talk about is gay this, and the gay one came out, and he spoke at a valedictorian. Like, that's the greatest thing on earth, is to come out at a high school graduation. That's the only thing you got to do in your life. That's all that's left for a man to do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The whole world's upside down.
Standing up.
So let me ask you this, my friend, since you're so deeply enmeshed in this, and you're at the end of your years, and you just divulged something that should set off shockwaves across America. Is this Snowden a traitor or a hero in plain English?
In plain English, I think he's a hero because people need to know these things. People need to know what's going on. Why do they?
You know that Representative Peter King of New York, a Long Island area, a congressman with a so-called Republican, said that legal action should be taken against the reporter Glenn Greenwald, who broke this story out of the UK Guardian. Would you believe this? Do you realize how far gone we are if a so-called conservative Republican wants a reporter arrested for releasing the story about the spying by this government?
Doesn't that remind you of 2 former countries that did things like that? Nazism.
No, you don't. You mean Portugal and Greece, right? I'm joking, of course. Yes, I know what exactly this all means, and I know this is only the beginning, not the end of the beginning either. This is the beginning of the end. Unless the people who have been outed for doing this are arrested almost immediately, this is going to get much worse before it gets better, I believe, John, don't you?
Yes, I do, but
They're very dangerous, they're very evil, they're amoral.
Yes.
And they're capable of any crime imaginable to maintain their power.
Right.
And I think that they're going to do some very terrible things very soon.
Well, I know they've done things to me, and I barely make a living now. I'm in poverty. They beat me down pretty far.
John, if there's, I'll tell you what, John, if you don't mind, I'll tell you what I'll do for you without giving your name away. I'm going to ask you to stay on the line if you want to. My producer's perfectly great young man. He'll take your name. Maybe we can set up a defense fund for you under like a screen where your name wouldn't be divulged.
Be helpful.
And maybe some people will send you some money.
Well, anything would be helpful. I'm basically running out of doctors. Of course, they give me Medicare, but that doesn't cover much. Tried to get into everywhere, Stanford, everybody. Been rejected. Oh, well.
What you should do, John, is take a trip to Mexico, get a sombrero, and sneak across the border. You'll get a golden passport to the best medical care in California.
Yeah.
Just don't say a word in English.
100%.
Change your name to a Mexican name. They'll bend over backwards for you. I'll be right back. My call screener told me that the man was deeply emotional and in tears when we spoke off the air. He fears for his life. He's afraid the government is going to kill him now. I mean, take it for what it is. Go ahead, laugh all you want. Make everything into a joke and be sarcastic and cynical and say that's not going to happen. It can't happen here. The man said he was a defense contractor. The man said they've been spying on Americans going back to Bush 1 through the Echelon Project. The man said he's broke, he's bankrupt, he's dying. And what can I say to you? All I have is a phone number for him. You know, I'll send them something, but I don't know what else to do. What else can I do? Anyway, 1-800, I forgot my number already, 855-400-SAVAGE. This is a crazy night. I mean, it really is crazy when you realize that we have been living in a kind of fascism of total and absolute control by an out-of-control federal government way beyond and way before Obama, which is why, see, this would explain why John Boehner would call Snowden a traitor. This would explain why the media is moving away from this story. Remember back in the Vietnam War era, there was a song, You've Got to Kill for Peace. And it was a sarcastic song about bombing a village and killing everyone in it in order to get the NVA. And a rock and roller did, you got to kill, kill, kill for peace. So now in the name of terror, we have the right to terrorize you. Is that Obama's new mantra? In the name of terror, we have the right to terrorize you. You'll hear it tomorrow on Limpaw's show. You heard it first on the Savage Nation.